Now, here are 5 perfumes that are not for the faint of heart. All of these perfumes are a bit on the darker side of things. They can be a bit challenging, they can be a bit spicy or woodsy and unconventional in a sense. There's a lot of fragrances on the market that, in my opinion, are very amicable, very mass appealing. I think all of these require a certain personality to really be able to pull them off. But anyway, if you feel like you are that person, if you like some of the darker olfactive expressions on the market, if you don't mind the camphorous notes, the balsamic notes, the woodsy fragrances, the spices, all of that stuff, these are 5 fragrances that I'm going to tell you all about over the course of these next 8, 9, or 10 minutes. But before I dive into the video, I do want to mention that if you're a fan of perfume-related content and if you love smelling your best, hit subscribe, hit the bell, and also please give this video a thumbs up for the algorithm. It would really mean a lot to me, and it goes such a long way. So with that being said, if you want to sample some of the niche offerings on this list, and all of them are niche with the exception of one, which is indie, there's one brand where people are debating if it's niche or designer, but it really is niche despite there being a big parent company above it. Only because they focus on fragrances, period. They don't manufacture anything else. But anyway, I'll leave that debate open to anybody who wants to entertain it in the comment section, anybody who has the free time to do so, I should say. But I'm going to be honest with you, if you want to sample some of these, use ScentSplit. I've been using ScentSplit since like 2014, 2015. I've been utilizing that service for such a long time now. They're a fantastic company. You can purchase decants. You can try it on your skin. See how the fragrance resonates with your skin chemistry. See if it is to your liking. And then if you end up really liking the fragrance, you can subsequently commit to the purchase of a full-size bottle. But of course, that's not something you want to do right away. You don't want to blind buy, right? You don't want to spend $400 or $500 on a fragrance only to discover that it doesn't work for you or it doesn't last on your skin. Or maybe the hook of the perfume was really nice and then the dry down is a little underwhelming, whatever the case may be, right? Like, we all have our own take and thoughts and opinions regarding fragrances. So I just want to make sure you make the right decision. Use ScentSplit.com. It's an amazing service. The first fragrance I want to talk about is very spicy. It's incensey, there's rose, there's saffron, there's oud. And this is not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of fragrances from this brand that I would recommend. And I'm going to be honest with you, there's a lot of fragrances from this brand that are not very original. There is one, I think it's called Upper Class. It smells kind of like Tuscan Leather by Tom Ford, even though it does its own thing. There is a beautiful fragrance called Sultan, which has, I think, like dates and honey, and it's a delicious, delicious fragrance. And then my favorite from this brand is called Celebration, which has this hodgepodge of citrus ingredients in there along with mint. It smells like a mojito. It's very bright. And it's a beautiful fragrance. It's from the Italian niche brand of Royal Crown. The perfumer is Antonio Visconti. And the fragrance is called Oud Almela. Also incredibly expensive. Everything from this brand is priced super, super high. And this one, yeah, in the opening, it's very sharp, very bright. It's almost like, you know, it's funny, I have a similar effect with a lot of other fragrances that I've tried where, and I don't want this to come across the wrong way, but it's like as soon as you spray it, it kind of smells like a Band-Aid. I know that sounds super gross. There was a fragrance called Gucci Guilty Absolute. That one has a similar vibe to me. There is also, for a split second, like Hachivat by Nishane. That one also kind of smells like a Band-Aid when you first spray it on. And I love that one. You know, like that's the funny part. This one has that same effect. And I get that with a lot of fragrances. Like some fragrances to me remind me of a Band-Aid, some remind me of nail polish, some remind me of gasoline, whatever the case may be, right? And this one is just, it's not for the faint of heart. I'm just going to leave it at that. Sample it if you can. It's very opulent smelling, very regal smelling, very expensive smelling, but I don't think it's going to be everybody's cup of tea. Now, the next one, guys, this utilizes so many natural ingredients. So I would say if you have not delved into the world of natural perfumery, it's going to be incredibly, incredibly risky and perhaps a little irresponsible to blind buy something like this. My thought is that you're probably also not going to be able to sample this one. If I were to guess, I would say this is not on ScentSplit, but this is an amazing fragrance brand. They have a lot of really natural smelling fragrances for the simple fact that they do contain natural ingredients. This one is very woodsy. There's oud at the basis of this fragrance, but there's also a lot of balsamic ingredients and a lot of earthy ingredients too. And this one by Maxim Perfume is called Oud Indashene. Now, I have about, it is so freaking rich. And a lot of their perfumes are also a bit animalic. And I think they do utilize ingredients like civet and castoreum. And look, just the liquid inside the bottle is so dark. Like, how can you not imagine that this is going to be very dark and assertive? And it's not for the faint of heart. But if you can sample it, if you have some means by which you can sample it, please do so. The next one is very camphorous. The next one is green. There's incense, there's cognac, there's tobacco. There's some woods. I also pick up on patchouli. This one actually smells very similar to Black Afghano by Nasomatto. And this one is Laudano Nero by Tiziana Terenzi. If you have this one, you don't need Black Afghano. They're very, very similar. I wish they weren't so similar to one another. And I would say, you can own both, and there's a specific occasion in which you can wear each one, but they're nearly identical, to be honest with you. Laudano Nero. This one is beautiful, very dark, pensive, brooding, gothic, mysterious, all of the things. The fragrance in the number 2 spot, and I think there's no fragrance that really tops it from the brand in terms of one that I would recommend for somebody who's looking for something dark and mysterious. Honestly, I know the title of the video is 5 perfumes that are not for the faint of heart. The only other one that I would say is kind of out there from this brand is Smoke for the Soul. And of course, with that being said, the brand is Kilian Paris. And of course, there's also Black Phantom, but Black Phantom is very likable. There's this chocolate ingredient in it that I really do enjoy, and I think it makes for a great recommendation, especially for those who are looking for a darker gourmand. I think Black Phantom is incredible. But here's a fragrance that I think, it's definitely one of the darkest expressions from this brand. They had a lot of oud offerings. I know they discontinued a lot of them. They had rose oud, musk oud, amber oud. Amber oud is incredible, by the way. I have the Dua clone of it, and it's called Amber and Oud. It's so good. But this one is Dark Lord. Dark Lord is, again, a little band-aidy in the opening. Very band-aidy. So this one has cypriol oil, otherwise known as nagarmoda. It's very green. It's very herbal. There's davana in here as well. I think there's a hint of patchouli in this one too, some spices, a little incensey touch to it as well. It smells very masculine, if I'm being honest. It smells very grown up. There's an air of maturity about it, but there's a darker element to it that I just don't think is going to be for everybody. It's certainly not for the faint of heart. However, I would sooner wear this one over Smoke for the Soul because that one just smells like weed, and I don't want to walk down the street smelling like that. So I would sooner wear this one where, when people smell it on you, they're going to be like, okay, you're actually wearing a fragrance versus you were engaging in some, illegal habit, depending on where you live. In the number 1 spot, and honestly, all of these are kind of interchangeable. There's really no number 1 or number 4 or number 5. It's depending on your mood, depending what you're into. And I think all 5 of these have something really interesting about them. I'm just going to leave it at that. And this one is a lot of spices. There's oud. I think there's patchouli. There's this leathery vibe to the fragrance as well. It's definitely on the darker side of things. And again, if you're looking for mass appeal, not only would I not recommend this fragrance, I wouldn't even recommend this brand. I think if you're looking for mass appeal, I would sooner direct you to any number of designer fragrances. Even in the niche realm, I would say start with Creed, start with Bond, go with another one of these brands that are just putting out mass appeal after mass appeal after mass appeal. And then, of course, if you've tried other brands, whether it be indie or niche, you know that there are many on the market that are very challenging. Meo Fushiuni, Cinque Canto, Zoologist. I mean, there's a lot of brands that are putting out very daring fragrances that are not necessarily veering into mass appealing territory. And this is one of them. This is one of those brands that it's like everything they're going to put out is going to be quite challenging. except for fragrances like China White. There was Nuda, which was also very interesting. Narcotic Venus was also very mass appealing, a sharp yellow floral fragrance nonetheless, but still very mass appealing. And then I would say Absinthe was also quite mass appealing, but still on the sharper side of things. It had a lot of wormwood in it. Anyway, the brand is Nasomatto. The fragrance is Duro. Leather, spices, patchouli, woods. It's dark. It is strong. It's the first fragrance that I ever purchased from this brand. I remember reviewing it back in 2012. It's been 13 years that I've had this bottle in my collection, and I treasure it. And it's only, believe me, it's only gotten stronger in 13 years. Thank you for watching. I love you all. Thank you for spending the last 10 minutes with me. Your viewership means a lot to me. If you took anything of value from today's episode, I would sincerely appreciate it if you would consider supporting the channel by clicking subscribe, hitting the bell, and giving this video a thumbs up. And of course, I think 4 of these fragrances may be sampled at scentsplit.com. Get a sample. Don't blind buy. Thanks again for watching. I love you all. And we'll see you tomorrow with a new episode. Bye.